Alright, welcome back. So, what do I want to keep? That might be good to keep. So would that might be good to keep. Definitely not. Yeah, I'm just putting things in inventory at the way. So, short circuit or we'll go for the Frigidator. We'll keep that in inventory and we'll put away the gun. Yeah, you. No, I've just put the gun away. I didn't misplace it. Right. That can get put away, so can that. That might be useful. Won't need that. Shouldn't need that. Oh god, won't need that. I didn't get any new weapons. I want to upgrade to. Oh, I remember I got Hyperway. That was Nyoka's. That's a Titanium. That's a Tap free, Plasma free, Deadeye free, Hyper. It's a Century Mark free, Hyper Blade. I think that is already what we have. And these can be sold. Right, food, don't give a fuck about. Now to Tartarus. To end the game and see the ending slides for this one is. I want to see the ending slides for Eridanos.
I am pleased to inform you that we have arrived at the labyrinth. Please be advised that
We listened to all this shit last time.
I can make
Attention, you are here.
Okay. How long will that take?
To be
Oh. I didn't know that. Hey, I should have Hyper Persuade. Because they're not in the party with me.
protocol. The start with
transmission. How? See you soon.
Now let's make sure I'm wearing the right armour before I go. You know, I kind of made a mistake last time and wore the wrong armour, and you know, I had a fucking hard, annoying time.
The board will never hold long. Push on, Mardat.
Stay down, Hullhead. Somebody's top. Attack!
What the fuck? Why is it like focus fire on me? Dude, what the fuck? There's a fuck ton of people here that they could be aiming at, and somehow they're all aiming at me. Seriously? And why is my gun... I can annihilate the enemies in the DLC at a higher level, but apparently this gun can't do jack shit here.
The captain did right there. The board will never own Groundbreaker. Not while I breathe. Push on, Mardat.
Somebody clean up.
Yeah, for part of your girlfriend's there. Look, she's shooting him right in the dick. Oh, shit. Fucking hell! Why? Why won't you people stop being idiots? He had a big red fucking target icon above his head. What was I supposed to think? Ah. Why are you fucking...
Now it's our turn. The board will
Why
never
is
own
it so
Groundbreaker.
fucking
Not
hard
while
to
I
have the
breathe.
gun just aim
Push on,
properly?
I
Mardat.
better take a look.
Varry, go in there and start hitting things.
Covering you!
This is a shit show at times.
Pathetic.
Great work. Oh yeah, we don't need any loot. Again, what are these ultra high DPS weapons they have? It's only a 700 DPS, but it's matching my ability to fucking annihilate people with a fucking 3000 DPS. And seriously, game, you need to stop trying to fucking punish the player for being higher level. The player's higher level, so we've got to punish them by giving them higher level enemies. No, you level up to become stronger to make everything easier on yourself. You don't level up to make it harder on yourself.
Keen on walking into a prison. They lock me up, I'm liable to kill everyone trying to get back out.
What's the problem?
This might be the loneliest place in the whole system.
It's just a fucking hell game. I want this end game to be hard. It doesn't matter how hard you level up, because what's the point in giving you leveling systems if you're not going to
Let's
get
look back.
rewarded for leveling up?
There's gotta be a few ways through here. Okay, gone quiet.
What was that?
Here they come!
I know I'm hard, there's not much I can do because apparently you can't heal and jump at the same time. You can't grab onto a ladder as you fly past either. Yeah, let's go. We're not even going to do that either. We're not even going to bother with it. There's nothing to be gained from doing it. Now, there was a terminal through there, and we never got access to it last time.
Take me. I thought the chasm outside Stellar.
Proper party in there.
To shreds, you say?
Yes. No, can't we use this terminal this time?
I'm working as fast.
Who are you?
Is that a...
I don't know what FPS is.
Forced pacification system. If the prisoners riot, we gas them. It went a little haywire after the last deployment, so here I am. Anyway, I need to finish this, so get out of here, will you? Ugh.
Uh, Do you know the passcode?
Of course.
I need to use the terminal.
Well, you ain't up.
What are you doing?
Fixing... Ugh. Well, we don't...
There must be some way to use that terminal. They wouldn't have give you the option. Just out of interest. Does she have it on her? No. Wonder if that'll do it when I get to the end. I remember Candy saying it was she was going to use it against us, so if I break it before she has a chance to use it.
Let's go, troops. Stellar Base counting on us.
I am a storm!
I saw something.
Why does every fucker have an Henry?
Everyone all right?
Henry, yes, Henry that. Alright, we need to persuade this guy, don't we?
Well,
The cat.
when
Yeah. What's this announcement?
haven't you heard? It,
Please.
but
The crackpot's three of them frozen colonists you gave up on.
I don't.
We're
I,
Yeah, you better keep riding this downward spiral. I can fix this place.
if I,
Persuade.
I'll admit. Look,
Good, maybe some good come out of you after all.
Sora can see me now.
You Van Noise, have fun.
All right, MSI. I'm not one for rousing speeches, but the captain needs our help. So get in there and fight!
covering you!
Yeah, see those shot cannon hypers.
We may Dang it!
Again, stop putting this fucking MSI in the same colours as me, the enemy. I'm going to shoot the MSI just as much as the fucking enemy if we keep doing that.
We're really doing this, huh?
Take a breath now, folks. Once we're up there, I suspect we ain't gonna have time to stop shooting.
Right, I need an alive 90 to do this, don't I? 120. Okay, yeah, we can do this. Lockpick 148, medical science, they're all over 100. I should be able to pass these checks.
Captain, you...
Stand down.
I'm afraid you...
I'm here for Neas, let him go.
Oh,
Let's talk about this.
fair enough.
Destroyed experiments.
Yes, my...
Engineering.
That isn't... That is...
Perception.
Damn. You were...
Persuade, science.
I'm aware.
It's still going to take a miracle, but we can do it if we do it together.
I appreciate... I have...
Lie, hack.
What?
All I'm saying is I had to keep you talking to buy myself time.
Oh, for the love of the law. Congrats.
I believe before I change my mind. Thank you, I'm glad we can settle this without violence.
And just hope you've made the right decision. The fate of the colony is...
Yep, whatever. So much faster when you're not killing everybody and jumping around, exploring, looting every box. Can that key open this door down here? Be right back, Phineas. Okay. If you remember rightly, it did say in the Hope that over 200 people have been taken off it already. Right.
You don't know how glad I am to see you.
Yep.
You must... And
Are you alright?
I'm all right. You've...
I don't like the sound of that.
So we've got to make do on our own.
You're quite right.
You mean
We're...
We've a lot to do, but we're started.
Yes, we must... We're go...
I'm going to run this colony myself. Yeah, fuck it, let's just see it.
The chairman? I don't know why you let that heartless creature live, but I'll have to trust your judgment. You're the best thing to ever happen to Halcyon. If you want to take it upon yourself to lead this colony, you have my support.
Okay, so it's just
We're
a bit
not
time.
a colony any longer, are we?
Yeah, you're turned into America. Probably
The
the same
OSI
way.
teaches that everything in the universe happens according to the grand plan. But the stranger that arrived in Halcyon was an unplanned variable. From the moment he landed in Emerald Vale, his actions altered the course of history. The events on Tartarus brought about the end of the board's authority. But the board's mistakes would haunt the colony for decades to come. The damage they left behind would require the work of a generation to repair. Dr. Phineas Wells began reviving a handful of the Hope's colonists. Engineers, scientists, technicians, and intellectuals. They were among the brightest minds the Earth had ever sent out into the stars. The Hope scientists and engineers woke up in a colony descending headlong into total collapse. With no way to return to Earth, they had no choice but to band together and devote themselves to the cause of saving Halcyon. The people of Halcyon were nothing if not hardy. In the absence of the board's authority, many of the colony's settlements banded together with a single purpose in mind: survival. Life was especially hard in the years to come. Some towns dissolved by attrition and starvation, but most of them found a way to carry on. In the years to come, Halcyon was forced to reckon with its newfound freedom. The board was gone, and for better or worse, the colony was responsible for its own destiny. Between MSI's worker-centric policies and the iconoclast's manpower, Sanjar and Zora were able to rally many of the Terra 2 townships to their cause. MSI's workforce swelled, and the iconoclasts enjoyed a significant surge in their ranks. The board was too distracted by infighting and internal politics to stop MSI from becoming a powerful corporation and a refuge for townships that might have fallen through the cracks. Consumed by paranoia, Lilia Hagen took Sublight Salvage in a controversial direction, openly accusing board officials of an extraterrestrial conspiracy. One day, an accident at the Groundbreaker's docking bay silenced her forever. Time would tell if her replacement could keep the Sublight family together. Adelaide McDevitt replaced Reed Thompson as the leader of Edgewater. She and her followers transformed Edgewater in their image. Anyone loyal to Reed was pressured into leaving town, and those who stayed behind adapted to her way of life. Adelaide transformed the old cannery into a new garden. The nearby Edgewater Cemetery provided a convenient source of fertilizer. Under the leadership of Junlei Tennyson, the Groundbreaker held firm against corporate influence. The ship's mechanical stability gave Junlei the time to educate a promising generation of engineers schooled in her family's traditions. The future of the Groundbreaker looks promising. The rediscovery of the Hope and the abandonment of the lifetime employment program forced Byzantium to come to terms with some uncomfortable realities about the state of Halcyon. While Byzantines were reluctant to surrender the luxuries they'd grown accustomed to, the board's diminished authority gave them little choice in the matter. Nearly everyone had to learn to make do with less. Some even had to get jobs. It was a dark time indeed. Even the Gorgon asteroid, though a distant enigma to most of Halcyon, felt the aftershocks of your actions. Olivia and Minnie Ambrose worked together to cure the marauders Adrena Time had created. Through their partnership as scientist and administrator, they discovered the harmony that had eluded them as mother and daughter. And through years of patience and effort, they discovered the means to wean Halcyon from the scourge of Adrena Time. Their work eventually allowed Wells and his scientists to treat many of Halcyon's marauders. As their addiction waned, the colonists who had lived for so long under the thrall of Adrena Time returned to their communities and loved ones, and joined in the effort to save Halcyon. In spite of everything, the Gorgon asteroid remained a sobering reminder of the potential for progress and disaster in humanity's most ambitious efforts. The Rizzo's company in Halcyon dissolved after the collapse of the board. Needless to say, the launch of Spectrum Brown was indefinitely delayed. A stockpile of Spectrum Brown remains buried deep beneath the ruins of the old distillery, abandoned to time and attrition. With the dissolution of the board, Ruth Bellamy found herself without the two constants in her life: Byzantine culture and her sister Belinda. In the face of this new reality, she struggled to find a direction for her life. The colony had moved on from Halcyon Helen and would require new heroes in the years to come. And so Ruth Bellamy decided it was time to exit stage left. she quietly disappeared from public view.
Is there any way to get her on a ship?
The dissolution of the board did not mean the dissolution of the ambitions of Cedric Kincannon, the charismatic leader of Sublight Underground. Cedric offered Slug's transportation services to the newly thawed colonists and set to work ferrying resources and food wherever they were most needed. For better or worse, Slug headgear became fashionable in the following years. As the board began to disintegrate, Spencer Woolrich found himself at a crossroads. Cling to what little stardom remained to him, or help usher Halcyon into its new future. To the surprise of many, perhaps himself most of all, Spencer chose the latter option. Having learned a variety of different skills in the many different roles played throughout his lengthy career, Spencer founded a radio serial dedicated to staying alive despite the odds. His subjects included how to survive violent encounters with only grazing wounds, dispense pithy one-liners for tense scenarios, and, of course, how to look good doing both. After a brief attempt at dating Helen as one person rather than two, which both Bertie and Helen found too strange, Bertie struck out on his own to try his hand at raising woolly cows. Many of his former Rangers teammates soon followed, accompanied by the woolly cow the team had originally plied with alcohol. The dairy farm thrived under Bertie's leadership and care. The Dairy Rangers privately believed that the woolly cows softened Bertie's temper considerably, although the only one brave enough to say this to his face was promptly headbutted. Due to the board's dissolution, many of the Prophet's old customers no longer found quite the same value in productivity seminars that they once had. With her business drying up, the Prophet chose to take her followers down a new path. Months later, salvagers on Eridanos found clues leading them to a seemingly abandoned bunker out in the wilderness. Inside, they discovered horribly mangled corpses, sacrificed to a blood-scrawled portrait of a sprat-headed deity. The Prophet was not among the bodies. Your influence shifted Ellie's perspective. She finally admitted, albeit grudgingly, that she just might need other people. Sometimes. With a steady income from the life insurance payouts, she was finally able to afford a ship of her own. She hired a small crew and flew supply missions to communities on the fringe. Some of them were even legal. Life in Halcyon was sobering for Felix Millstone. The grand revolution he dreamed of never came. There was no great awakening for the colony, no celebrations in the streets. There was only the hard, desperate work of trying to repair a broken colony. Felix never had a head for numbers, but if there was labor to be done, he was there to help. Eventually, Felix realized that the work of a revolution was done with two hands. As much as he enjoyed his adventures aboard the Unreliable, the vicar, known as Max, eventually decided that it was time to move on, to live out the life he had sought so long to create. He knew there were many in the colony who carried burdens much worse than the ones he had struggled with, and he devoted himself to easing their suffering wherever he could. He only ever took up arms again to defend the defenseless. Unshackled from a lifetime of striving and fighting the universe and himself, Vicar Maximilian de Soto was finally at peace. Once the matter with the Hope colonists was resolved, Junlei bashfully asked Parvati if she'd like to join her permanently on the Groundbreaker, and Parvati enthusiastically, if somewhat awkwardly, agreed. The stories of her adventures spread across the colony, and Parvati soon found herself the center of attention. Having served as the engineer of a renowned spacecraft, tramp freighters and wildcat miners sought her out by name. And in no time, she was a fixture in the Groundbreaker's mechanical ecosystem. She and Junlei were never far apart. Nyoka returned to Monarch to take another crack at making a permanent life for herself. She formed the Charon Group, a mercenary outfit of ragtag survivalists and wilderness experts. Anyone in need of a guide, or just looking to throw back a beer and swap stories, could find her camping on the trail or clearing an infestation. The SAM unit that accompanied you spread awareness of the product line's superior sanitation and maintenance capabilities across what was left of the colony. This led to a boost in SAM unit sales. Did you know that SAM units are the longest-lasting, toughest-acting cleaning solution in Halcyon? Minister Clark was released from house arrest, and his contact with you gave him a sense of renewed purpose and vigor. Once it became clear that no help would be coming from Earth, he threw his considerable efforts and talents into helping Halcyon manage the crisis before it. It was widely suspected that Sophia Akande was the true power behind Chairman Rockwell. However, after the riots on Tartarus, she was never again seen in the colony. Various theories circulated as to her fate. Some believed she boarded an interstellar ship capable of journeying to a distant colony. Others believe she died trying to escape Tartarus. Some few suggest she fled to Monarch, where she continued to live among a small band of loyalists. There is another theory, which suggests that Sophia's encounter with you changed her, and she deliberately retreated from public view, but continued supporting the colony in secret. When Dr. Wells began reviving the Hope's colonists, he found himself with a sudden windfall of additional supplies and resources, courtesy of an anonymous donor. If Wells knew who his supplier was, he never told a soul. As for Dr. Phineas Wells, he spent his remaining years in his orbital lab. He eventually came to terms with his own past and was able to forgive the mistakes of his younger self by devoting his remaining years to serving the colony. Dr. Wells was able to revive many more scientists and engineers than he first expected, thanks to the additional batch of chemicals you stole from the Ministry. Wells never forgot about the human lives that were lost in acquiring these chemicals. In the end, Dr. Wells was able to save every scientist and engineer aboard the Hope. Over the next decade, nearly all of the Hope's remaining colonists were successfully revived. Halcyon saw a period of rapid technological and scientific advancement. Breakthroughs in dietary supplements saved the colony from starvation. Geoengineering projects and social reforms began to change the structure and character of the colony. Dr. Wells laid the groundwork for the project to save the colony, but he would never live to see the fruits of his labor. He passed away a few years later. His work was carried on by the scientists and engineers he revived. Today, Halcyon has stabilized. The people of the colony work hard to adapt to their new circumstances. Nearby colonies send aid and supplies. Life will never be easy in Halcyon, but for the first time in its history, there exists a sense of real, genuine hope about the future. And what about you, the unplanned variable in the history of Halcyon? You brought an end to the riot on Tartarus and partnered with Chairman Rockwell to run the colony together. As Halcyon looked toward the future, you remained a constant presence in the colony's administration. You were never weighed down by bureaucracy, and you never had to dirty your hands with politics. You had people who did that for you. By your influence, Halcyon survived the turbulent years that were to follow.
Oh, so it changes what you pick.
No one knows what's happened to Earth, and no one knows what the future has in store for Halcyon. All we know for certain is this: the name of the Unreliable and that of its intrepid captain will remain the subject of countless stories for years to come.
Right, so that was Outer Worlds with both DLC concluded. I am going to look up and see if there's any other endings for Ruth here, because I want to see if you could actually get her on your